The weapons testing facility on Harmony Heights buzzed with activity as representatives from 12 different species gathered to showcase their latest military innovations. Commander David Reed watched from the observation platform as one by one, the alien species presented their defensive technologies with practiced efficiency. The avians went first, their ambassador, Krill, strutting forward with feathers gleaming under the artificial lights. He gestured proudly at a gossamer thin suit that shimmered like oil on water. "Our energy-dispersing armor weighs merely 3 pounds," Krill announced, his voice carrying across the chamber with natural amplification. "A single soldier can wear this for days without fatigue. Observe how elegantly it deflects plasma fire." The demonstration was impressive. Bolts of superheated energy splashed harmlessly across the feather-light material, dissipating into harmless light. The assembled delegates murmured their approval. Next came the insectoids. Their General Thorn clicking his mandibles as he presented an organic exoskeleton that grew directly from their chitin-based biology. "Efficiency is survival," Thorn stated flatly. "Our armor requires no external power source. It repairs itself through natural metabolic processes. Weight-to-protection ratio is mathematically optimal." Reed glanced at Dr. Yara Okonkwo beside him. She stood calm and composed, her tablet tucked under one arm. They both knew what was coming. The crystalline beings floated forward next, their forms refracting light into rainbow patterns. Their representative demonstrated photon deflection shells, so thin they were nearly invisible. Projectiles passed through them as if traveling through empty space, their kinetic energy stolen and redirected. "Impressive technologies," General Thorn addressed the assembly after the demonstrations concluded. "Humanity has requested time to present their contribution. I confess curiosity about what Earth's newest members can offer." The tone was diplomatic, but Reed heard the skepticism underneath. Humans had joined the Galactic Defense Coalition only 6 months prior. Most species still viewed Earth as a backwater planet, primitive and crude. Dr. Okonkwo stepped forward, triggering the platform to lower them into the demonstration arena. Reed followed, keeping his expression neutral. "We appreciate the opportunity." Okonkwo began, her Nigerian accent crisp and clear. "Human armor follows a different philosophy than what you've seen today. We call it the MK-7 Tactical Combat Suit." She pressed a button on her tablet. A section of floor slid open, revealing the armor on mechanical stand. The reaction was immediate. Several alien delegates actually laughed. The armor looked like something from a primitive age, all metal plates and ceramic composites, bulky and obviously heavy. Ambassador Krill's laugh was loudest of all. "Is this a historical exhibit?" Krill asked, not bothering to hide his amusement. "Surely humans don't expect soldiers to wear this antique in a battle." "The suit weighs 85 pounds fully equipped," Okonkwo continued, ignoring the mockery. "It provides complete environmental sealing, trauma plates covering all vital areas, and redundant systems throughout. 85 pounds. An insectoid scientist clicked rapidly, calculating. The energy expenditure would be catastrophic. A soldier would collapse from exhaustion before engaging any enemy. This is mathematically inefficient. More laughter rippled through the observation gallery. Reed felt his jaw tighten, but he maintained composure. This was expected. They had prepared for exactly this reception. "Your soldiers will die of fatigue," Krill added, spreading his wings in a gesture of dismissal. "Perhaps humans still throw rocks as their primary weapons, too. This is not armor. It is a mobile prison, Captain O'Brien," Okonkwo called out. A door opened, and Finn O'Brien strode into the arena, already wearing the full MK-7 suit. He moved with practiced ease, the servos and the armor humming quietly. O'Brien had worn this armor for months during training. He knew every joint, every plate, every system. Permission to demonstrate mobility. Dr. O'Brien's voice came through the helmet speakers, slightly metallic but clear. "Granted, Captain." What followed silenced some of the laughter. O'Brien moved through a combat obstacle course with speed that surprised the watching aliens. He wasn't as fast as an unarmored avian or as agile as a crystalline being, But he moved far quicker than anyone expected for someone wearing such heavy equipment. He vaulted barriers, sprinted across uneven terrain, dropped prone, and rose again smoothly. His weapon's handling was flawless, scoring perfect accuracy on every target. Adequate, Krill admitted grudgingly when O'Brien finished, but still slower than our own troops. You have created armor that makes your soldiers work harder for less benefit. Why burden them so? Earth is different from your homeworlds. Reed spoke up for the first time. Our gravity is higher. Our atmosphere is denser. Our evolution occurred under harsher conditions. What seems heavy to you is manageable for us. Excuses, an insectoid delegate chittered. You are compensating for physical weakness with crude materials. This is not innovation. It is desperation. Okonkwo's expression remained professional, but Reed saw the slight tension in her shoulders. They had anticipated mockery, but the reality still stung. I propose a test, Krill suddenly announced, his tone shifting to something more calculated. Each species here has demonstrated how their armor performs against standard coalition weapons. Let humanity do the same. Prove this heavy antique can actually protect your soldiers. General Thorne leaned forward in the observation gallery. An interesting suggestion. The human delegation accepts this challenge. Yes. Reed exchanged a quick glance with Okonkwo. They hadn't planned for this, but backing down now would be worse than any demonstration failure. We accept, Reed said firmly. Test our armor against your standard weapons. Excellent. Krill's eyes glittered with something that looked like anticipation. We shall see if human engineering can match human confidence. The testing will commence next cycle. Prepare your soldier. Commander, we will discover exactly how much punishment this armor can endure. The delegates filed out, their conversations already speculating about the coming tests. Reed watched them go, then turned to O'Brien. How do you feel about this, Captain? O'Brien removed his helmet, revealing a slight smile. I trust Dr. Okonkwo's work, sir. This armor has taken everything we've thrown at it in training. Let them test it. They'll see what human engineering really means. Okonkwo was already pulling up specifications on her tablet. We need to run full diagnostics. Tonight, if they're using coalition standard weapons, we should be fine. The armor was designed to exceed those parameters. And if they use something non-standard, Reed asked quietly. Then we adapt, Okonkwo replied. It's what humans do best. As they left the arena, Reed couldn't shake the feeling that Krill had something more planned than a simple demonstration. The avian's expression had held too much satisfaction, too much certainty. Tomorrow would reveal whether human armor could truly stand against galactic weapons, or whether Earth's newest contribution to the coalition would become its greatest embarrassment. Every seat in the observation gallery held a delegate eager to watch the human armor fail. Captain O'Brien stood in the center of the reinforced testing chamber, the MK-7 suit sealed and all systems showing green on Dr. Okonkwo's remote monitor. She sat beside Commander Reed in the front row, her fingers moving across the tablet with practiced precision. First test will use standard plasma weaponry. General Thorne's voice echoed through the chamber. Ambassador Krill has volunteered to conduct the demonstration. Krill stepped on a firing platform, holding a sleek pulse rifle. The weapon was standard issue across half the coalition's forces, known for its reliability and stopping power. He aimed with theatrical slowness, making sure every observer had a clear view. This will expose the fundamental flaw in human design, Krill announced. Mass cannot replace efficiency. Prepare yourself, Captain. O'Brien stood motionless, arms at his sides. Ready when you are, Ambassador. The plasma bolt struck O'Brien square in the chest with a sound like thunder. Brilliant blue-white energy splashed across the armor's surface, and for a moment the entire suit glowed with absorbed heat. O'Brien staggered backward 2 steps, catching himself before falling. The targeting laser tracked the scorch mark on the chest plate. Armor integrity at 94%, Okonkwo called out, her voice steady despite the tension. All internal systems nominal. Captain reports no injury. Silence filled the observation gallery. The avian delegates leaned forward, their feathers ruffling with surprise. Insectoid scientists began rapid calculations on their own devices. Krill's confident expression flickered. The shot was not at full power, an insectoid observer suggested. Weapon telemetry shows standard output, General Thorne replied, checking his own readings. The armor absorbed a shot that would have incapacitated any of our species. Continue the testing. The insectoid representative came forward next, carrying a rail-accelerated projectile weapon. The device was designed to punch through ship hulls, firing metal slugs at 3,000 meters per second. O'Brien adjusted his stance, activating the suit's kinetic dampeners. 3 rounds, center mass, the insectoid announced clinically. The weapon fired with a sharp crack. The first projectile hit the armor and embedded itself in the outer plate. The second deflected off an angled surface with a screech of tortured metal. The third round cracked through a ceramic layer, but stopped before penetrating the inner mesh. O'Brien was knocked backward, his boots skidding across the floor, but he remained upright. Armor integrity at 87%, Okonkwo reported. Kinetic dampeners functioned as designed. Captain's vital signs elevated but stable. The insectoid scientist's mandibles clicked rapidly. Impossible. Our own armor fails completely against such weapons. The layered design should not be this effective. Redundancy. Reed spoke up from the gallery. We don't rely on a single defensive layer. If one fails, others compensate. An amphibian delegate approached the firing platform next, carrying a weapon that emitted a low hum. The sonic disruptor was designed to shatter molecular bonds, effective against most known materials. Okonkwo's expression tightened slightly as she recognized the weapon type. 15-second exposure, the amphibian stated. Standard disruption frequency. The weapon activated and the air around O'Brien seemed to vibrate. His armor plates rattled and hummed, visible distortion waves rippling across the surface. The sound was unbearable even through the observation glass. O'Brien's form wavered as if seen through heat shimmer. 15 seconds felt like an eternity. When the weapon finally shut down, O'Brien was still standing, though his posture showed the strain. Armor integrity at 82%. Okonkwo's voice was tight, acoustic. Dampeners held. Multiple material densities prevented harmonic resonance buildup. Captain requesting 30 seconds recovery time. Granted, General Thorne replied, watching O'Brien with open interest now. The gaseous species representative floated forward, releasing a cloud of corrosive compound from specialized containment. The mist engulfed O'Brien completely, obscuring him from view. The chemical was rated to dissolve most metallic and organic materials within seconds. Delegates leaned forward, straining to see through the obscuring vapor. When the cloud finally dispersed, O'Brien stood unchanged. Chemical residue slid off the armor's treated surfaces like water off glass. Minor etching marked the outer plates, but nothing more. Environmental seals held. Okonkwo reported, relief evident in her tone now. No internal contamination. Armor integrity at 79%. Remarkable. A crystalline observer commented, their form pulsing with what might have been surprise. Human armor resists energy, kinetic, sonic, and chemical attacks. This exceeds all predictions. Krill's wings ruffled with agitation. He conferred urgently with several other avian delegates. Their conversation too quiet for translation. General Thorne called for a brief recess, and the observation gallery erupted into animated discussions. They didn't expect this, Reed said quietly to Okonkwo. Look at them. Indeed, the atmosphere had shifted dramatically. What began as entertainment was now serious military analysis. Species representatives were requesting data downloads, comparing notes, reassessing their assumptions about human capabilities. Dr. Okonkwo allowed herself a small smile. The armor is performing better than our most optimistic projections, she said. The ablative layers are distributing damage more efficiently than the simulations predicted. When the demonstration reconvened, General Thorne stood at the front of the gallery. His expression was unreadable as he addressed the assembly. The testing has proven human armor effective against standard coalition weapons, Thorne stated. However, I propose one final evaluation. We must determine the armor's absolute limits. What do you suggest? Reed asked, though though something in Thorne's tone made him uneasy. The void cannon. Krill interjected quickly, as if he had been waiting for this moment. We must test the armor against the Coalition's most powerful personal weapon. Anything less would leave questions unanswered. Murmurs spread through the observation gallery. The void cannon was experimental, rarely used even in the most desperate combat situations. It fired concentrated null-space bursts that created temporary vacuum pockets, followed by catastrophic pressure waves. It had destroyed reinforced bunkers in previous tests. That exceeds the parameters of this demonstration, Reed objected immediately. The void cannon is not a standard weapon. Yet it exists in our arsenal, Krill countered. If human armor cannot withstand our most powerful weapons, how can we trust it in actual combat? Or do humans fear honest evaluation? The political trap was obvious. Refuse and appear weak, accept and risk disaster. Reed looked at Okonkwo, saw her running calculations frantically on her tablet. Then O'Brien's voice came through the comm system. "I'll do it," the captain said firmly. "If you want to know what this armor can handle, let's find out. I trust Dr. Okonkwo's work." Reed closed his eyes briefly. When he opened them, his decision was made. "We accept your test, General Thorne, but I want full medical teams standing by and maximum safety protocols." "Agreed," Thorne replied. "The void cannon will be prepared. Testing will commence in 1 hour. Use that time wisely." As technicians began wheeling the massive weapon into the testing chamber, Okonkwo pulled up the armor's emergency protocols. Her hands were steady, but Reed saw the concern in her eyes. They were about to discover if human engineering could survive the unsurvivable. The void cannon dominated the testing chamber like a predator. 3 times the size of any weapon previously used, its energy coils pulsed with pale blue light that made everyone who looked at it feel slightly nauseous. Captain O'Brien stood 50 meters away, running through final systems checks, while Dr. Okonkwo enabled every emergency protocol the armor possessed, activating experimental defensive layers. Okonkwo's voice was calm, but her knuckles were white where she gripped the tablet. Pushing power core to 110% capacity. All kinetic dampeners, thermal dissipation systems, and structural reinforcements at maximum. In the observation gallery, the atmosphere had changed from anticipation to something darker. Even the delegates who had mocked the human armor earlier now looked uncomfortable. General Thorne reviewed the weapon specifications one final time, his mandibles clicking slowly. "The void cannon fires a concentrated null-space burst," Thorne explained. "For the record, on impact, it creates a temporary vacuum pocket approximately 2 meters in diameter. When normal space reasserts itself, the resulting pressure wave generates forces equivalent to a small explosive device. Additionally, the temperature within the null space drops to near absolute zero. No armor has survived direct impact at full power." "Then why are we testing it on a person?" Reed demanded. "Because Captain O'Brien volunteered," Krill interjected smoothly, "unless the commander wishes to withdraw the human delegation from this evaluation." O'Brien's voice cut through the tension. "Commander Reed, I'm ready. Let's show them what human engineering can do." The weapon operators completed their setup. Warning klaxons began to sound, automated systems sealing the observation gallery behind reinforced shields. Medical teams positioned themselves at emergency access points. The void cannon's energy coils grew brighter, the hum building to a frequency that made teeth ache. "Firing sequence initiated," a technician announced. 10 seconds. O'Brien assumed a defensive stance, bracing against the rear wall of the testing chamber. Every armor system was active, the suit practically glowing with power consumption. Okonkwo watched her readouts, barely breathing. 5 seconds. The hum became a shriek. Reality itself seemed to bend around the weapon's firing mechanism. Several alien delegates looked away, unable to watch. 3 seconds. Reed found himself holding his breath. Beside him, a crystalline being had dimmed their inner light, a sign of distress in their species. 1. The void cannon fired. The world became light in sound and wrongness. The null space burst struck O'Brien's armor dead center, and for an instant, the laws of physics simply stopped applying in that small pocket of space. Temperature plummeted. Pressure vanished. The armor's surface frosted over instantly, ice crystals forming and shattering in the same microsecond. Then normal. Space reasserted itself with catastrophic violence. The pressure wave expanded outward like a shock wave, slamming into the testing chamber's safety shields hard enough to make them flicker. The sound was beyond hearing, felt in bones and organs rather than ears. Frost spread across the floor in a 10-meter radius. When the light faded and the smoke cleared, everyone strained to see. The figure of Captain O'Brien was still there, still standing, but impossible to make out clearly through the vapor and settling frost. Seconds passed like hours. The medical alarms were screaming, but no one moved. Vital signs. Reed's voice cracked. "Doctor, do we have vital signs?" Okonkwo stared at her tablet, then looked up with an expression of disbelief. "Receiving telemetry. He's alive. He's conscious." The vapor slowly dispersed. O'Brien's form became visible. The armor was devastated. Outer plates shattered and hanging loose. Ceramic composites fractured into spiderweb patterns. The inner titanium mesh was visible through gaps, bent and twisted. Frost covered every surface, but the basic structure held. The suit remained sealed. O'Brien moved slowly, testing each limb. He raised one arm, servos grinding and protesting, and gave a thumbs-up gesture. Then he began walking forward, each step unsteady but deliberate. The watching delegates sat in stunned silence. "Impossible," someone whispered. The medical teams rushed in as safety protocols cleared. They reached O'Brien just as he manually released his helmet seal. The helmet came off with a hiss of equalizing pressure. O'Brien's face was bruised, blood trickling from his nose, but he was grinning. "Armor held," he said, his voice hoarse. "I'm fine. Let's see your troops do that." Dr. Okonkwo was already in the arena, running her hands over the destroyed armor with a scientist's fascination. Outer ablative layers 100% destroyed. Secondary ceramic plates 73% fractured. Tertiary composite mesh 45% compromised. But the core protective layers only 12% damaged. The inner environmental suit is intact and sealed. By every measure, this armor succeeded. General Thorne descended from the observation gallery, his expression unreadable. He approached O'Brien, studying the human soldier carefully. Then he extended one claw in the insectoid gesture of respect. "I have witnessed many demonstrations of military technology," Thorne said quietly. "Never have I seen armor withstand the void cannon. Your species has proven something significant today, Captain." Ambassador Krill remained in the gallery, his feathers pressed flat against his body in a posture of shock. Other delegates were already requesting meetings with the human delegation, their earlier mockery forgotten. The political landscape had shifted in the span of a single weapon's discharge. "How do you feel?" a medic asked O'Brien as they guided him toward the medical bay. "Like I got hit by a void cannon," O'Brien replied, then laughed. "But I'm walking out of here. That's what matters." The armor did its job. Reed watched his captain being led away, then turned to find multiple species representatives approaching him. A crystalline being reached him first. "Commander Reed, my government would like to discuss armor procurement contracts at your earliest convenience." An insectoid scientist was close behind. "Our research division requests permission to examine the damaged armor. The material science implications are extraordinary. We should talk about joint development programs," another delegate suggested. Reed raised his hands for calm. "All requests will be considered. Right now, my priority is ensuring Captain O'Brien receives proper medical attention. We can discuss business later." But even as he spoke, Reed recognized what had happened. Humans had arrived at Harmony Heights as the newest, least respected members of the Galactic Defense Coalition. They were leaving as equals, perhaps more. The armor that had been mocked for being too heavy had withstood the unsurvivable. Dr. Okonkwo joined Reed in the observation gallery as the testing chamber was cleared. She had salvaged several damaged armor plates for analysis. "The void cannon test gave us invaluable data," she said, already thinking about improvements. "The MK-8 design can address the weaknesses we discovered. Layer the ablatives differently, reinforce the ceramic composite joints, upgrade the kinetic dampeners, You're already planning the next generation. Reed asked. Always, Okonkwo smiled. That's what engineers do. We learn and we improve. Today proved our concept works. Tomorrow we make it better. As they left the facility, neither noticed Ambassador Krill watching from shadowed alcove, his expression dark with calculation. The human demonstration had cost him politically, but more importantly, it had cost his species economically. Avian military contracts were built on the assumption that their armor was superior. That assumption had just been shattered along with the MK-7's outer plates. Krill would not forget this humiliation. 36 hours after the Void Cannon demonstration, the Coalition Council chambers filled with delegates from every member species. Emergency sessions were rare, but General Thorne had called this one personally. Commander Reed sat beside Dr. Okonkwo at the human delegation's newly assigned position, no longer relegated to the back of the chamber. This council convenes to address human military integration, Thorne announced, his voice carrying through the translators. Recent demonstrations have proven human defensive technology exceeds initial assessments. I propose accelerated integration and joint development programs. Several species voiced immediate agreement. A crystalline representative pulsed with approval light. Our energy absorption research combined with human armor layering could revolutionize defensive systems. An insectoid scientist stood. We request permission to study human material science. The ceramic composite performance suggests applications beyond military use, but not everyone was pleased. Ambassador Krill rose from his seat, wings spread in aggressive posture. This council moves too hastily. One successful demonstration does not prove battlefield effectiveness. Human armor remains impractical, too heavy for extended operations, too resource-intensive for mass production. Your objections seem focused on economics rather than military effectiveness. A delegate observed. I protect coalition interests, Krill shot back. Avian defensive. Contracts have served this alliance for decades. We should not abandon proven systems for untested human novelties. Reed listened carefully. Krill's arguments sounded reasonable on the surface, but the underlying desperation was obvious. Avian military manufacturing represented 40% of the coalition's defensive equipment. Human armor threatened that monopoly. Dr. Okonkwo stood to address the council. We understand Ambassador Krill's concerns. Human armor is not meant to replace existing systems, but to complement them. Each species brings unique strengths. Imagine armor that combines avian energy dispersion, insectoid organic integration, and human layered redundancy. Together, we create something superior to any single approach. A diplomatic answer, Krill replied, but it does not address practical concerns. How many resources will humans demand for their heavy armor? What factories will be displaced? Which contracts will be terminated? Those sound like business questions, not military ones. General Thorne observed dryly. Before Krill could respond, an alarm sounded. Security protocols activated throughout the council chambers. Insectoid guards moved swiftly toward the exits. General Thorne's mandibles clicked sharply as he received an urgent communication. Unauthorized scanning detected, Thorne announced. Source traced to Ambassador Krill's private chambers. Security is investigating now. Krill's feathers flattened against his body. This is an outrage. My quarters are sovereign territory under diplomatic protocols, and you are bound by technology sharing agreements, Thorne countered. Insectoid security forces have legal authority to investigate treaty violations. Explain why scanning equipment is operating in your chambers. The council chamber fell silent. Moments later, a security officer entered and handed General Thorne a data tablet. Thorne's expression darkened as he reviewed the contents. The evidence shows deliberate attempts to copy human armor specifications through illegal scanning, Thorne stated flatly. Sophisticated equipment designed to penetrate security encryption. Ambassador Krill, you are charged with corporate espionage and violation of coalition technology sharing protocols. Chaos erupted in the chamber. Delegates from multiple species began shouting. Some demanded Krill's immediate arrest. Others called for investigation of avian corporate practices. Krill himself stood rigid, his confident posture crumbling. I was protecting coalition interests, Krill said desperately. Humans cannot be trusted. They arrive from nowhere with impossible technology. They must be hiding other weapons, planning expansion. I was gathering intelligence for our collective security. By stealing protected technology, a crystalline being's voice cut through the noise. There are legal channels for information sharing. You chose criminal methods instead. Reed stood slowly. All eyes turned to him. Ambassador Krill's actions speak to fear, not security concerns. He fears human armor because it threatens his species' economic dominance. This was never about military effectiveness. It was about protecting profit margins. Prove otherwise. Thorn challenged Krill. The avian ambassador had no response. The evidence was damning. Illegal scanning equipment, encrypted files containing partial armor specifications, communications with avian military, contractors discussing market impacts, an elder delegate, a reptilian species representative who rarely spoke, rose from his seat. I have served this council for 47 cycles, the elder said, his voice carrying ancient authority. I have seen 6 species join our alliance. Each time, fear arose. Each time, established members worried about losing advantages. This is natural, but theft and sabotage are not. Ambassador Krill has betrayed the principles we claim to uphold. The council vote came swiftly. Krill was formally censured for espionage, removed from his position, and his species' exclusive defense contract were terminated. The vote for full human military integration passed with 83% approval. Joint development programs received 91% support. After the session, multiple species approached the human delegation. The insectoid who had tested the railgun weapon spoke first. Our organic armor technology and your layered approach could create unprecedented hybrid systems. We propose immediate collaboration. A crystalline being floated forward. Energy absorption is our specialty. Combined with your kinetic dampening, we could reduce armor weight by 30% while maintaining protection. Even the amphibians who had deployed the sonic weapon offered partnership. Biomonitoring systems are our strength. We could enhance your environmental suits, provide real-time health analysis for soldiers in combat. Reed felt overwhelmed by the sudden shift. Hours ago, humans were untrusted newcomers. Now, they were sought-after partners. Dr. Okonkwo handled the technical discussions with practiced ease, already sketching collaborative designs on her tablet. Captain O'Brien entered the chambers, still showing bruises from the void cannon test. The assembled delegates fell silent. Then, spontaneously, they began gestures of respect in their various cultural traditions. Insectoid clicking, crystalline light pulsing, even avian wing. Spreading from Krill's replacement, a younger representative named Syra. Your courage impressed us all, Cyrus said, approaching O'Brien. I apologize for my predecessor's actions. Not all avian shares greed. I propose our aviation technology combined with your armor. Imagine troops who can fly while protected. O'Brien smiled. That sounds interesting. Let's talk details. General Thorne pulled Commander Reed aside. I misjudged your species, Thorne admitted quietly. I thought you were compensating for weakness with heavy armor. I did not understand that your strength allows you to carry protection that would crush others. There's wisdom in that approach. We learned it on Earth, Reed replied. Our world is harsh. High gravity, dangerous weather, persistent challenges. We survived by being tough enough to carry what we needed. The armor is just an extension of that philosophy. Then perhaps we all have something to learn from Earth, Thorne said. The coalition establishes a joint manufacturing facility next cycle. Humans will lead the design team. Others will contribute their specializations. Together, we will create something none of U.S. could achieve alone. That evening, in their private quarters, the human delegation celebrated quietly. Dr. Okonkwo had already begun incorporating alien technologies into new armor designs. Captain O'Brien rested his bruised body but smiled at the future possibilities. Commander Reed composed reports for Earth, trying to explain how quickly their status had changed. We came here expecting to prove ourselves over months or years, Reed said. Instead, we did it in 3 days. The armor proved itself, Okonkwo corrected. We just gave it the chance, and almost got me killed. O'Brien added cheerfully. But it worked. That's what matters. News of the council session spread rapidly through coalition space. Humanity, the newest and most doubted member, had become a key military partner. Earth's reputation transformed from backwater planet to innovative ally. Recruitment requests for human advisors flooded in from multiple species. The galaxy was learning that humans brought more than heavy armor. They brought the resilience to wear it. 4 months after the Void Cannon demonstration, emergency alerts screamed through Harmony Heights Station. The colony at Haven's Edge was under attack. The Ravagers had struck without warning, their brutal efficiency legendary across Coalition space. General Thorne assembled a rapid response force within hours, and for the first time, human armored troops would deploy in actual combat. Captain O'Brien stood in the transport bay, running final checks on 20 soldiers wearing upgraded Mk-7 armor. The suits incorporated Coalition improvements now: insectoid biomonitoring, crystalline energy dispersal coating, avian communication systems. Dr. Okonkwo had designed the hybrid systems personally, and they represented the best of what 5 species could create together. Intelligence reports Ravager weapons exceed Coalition standard arms by significant margins. General Thorne briefed the mixed species force. Their technology is specifically designed to counter our defenses. Previous colonies fell within hours. We have 200 troops total, multiple species. Ravagers control 70% of Haven's Edge, 3,000 colonists trapped in the Central District. Commander Reed studied the tactical display. The Ravagers were known for overwhelming firepower and ruthless tactics. They had shattered avian energy shields, dissolved insectoid exoskeletons, and broken crystalline armor in previous engagements. The human soldiers would face the ultimate test. Human armored squad will spearhead the assault, Thorne continued. Your mission: break through to the colonists, create an evacuation corridor. Avian forces provide aerial support. Insectoid troops secure the perimeter. Crystalline beings establish defensive positions. Questions? O'Brien raised one hand. Rules of engagement, General. Ravagers take no prisoners, Thorne replied grimly. Neither will we. The transport journey took 6 hours. O'Brien used the time for joint training exercises with the alien troops. Initial tension existed. Some still doubted human combat effectiveness despite the demonstrations. But as O'Brien's squad moved through drills, demonstrating coordinated tactics and unwavering discipline, skepticism faded. Syra, the new avian ambassador, observed from the command deck. Your troops moved differently than I expected, she commented to Reed. There is patience in their approach. Careful consideration. Humans learn to survive by thinking ahead, Reed explained. We prepare for the worst possible scenario, then adapt when reality proves different. It's not flashy, but works. Haven's Edge appeared on the view screens, sections burning, structures collapsed. Ravager ships orbited the colony like predators. The Coalition transport dropped into atmosphere under fire, shields straining against plasma weapons. Troops deployed rapidly, hitting the ground in organized waves. O'Brien's squad advanced through devastated streets. The first Ravager contact came. Suddenly, plasma cannons opening fire from entrenched positions. The weapons hit harder than anything they had faced in testing. O'Brien took 3 direct hits in the first 10 seconds, the armor's crystalline coating dissipating some energy, but not all. Heat warnings flashed across his display. Keep moving, O'Brien ordered. They're expecting us to take cover. Push through. The human squad advanced under fire. Ravager weapons that had shattered other armor types slowed, but did not stop them. The layered armor absorbed punishment that would have killed unprotected soldiers. Plasma scored the outer plates. Kinetic rounds cracked ceramic layers, but the suits held. More importantly, the humans kept advancing. A Ravager commander adjusted tactics, concentrating fire on the human formation. The logic was sound: eliminate the most durable targets first, but the effect was opposite of intended. Insectoid troops moved behind the human shield, their agility complementing human durability. Combined fire found Ravager positions, forcing them to retreat. Gravitational disruptor ahead. An insectoid scout reported, the weapon that destroyed our armored vehicles last month. O'Brien saw it, a massive device creating a crushing force field. General Thorne's voice came through the comm. Fall back. That weapon is too dangerous. Negative, O'Brien replied. Colonists have minutes, not hours. We're going through. The human squad charged directly into the gravitational field. The force was immense, like swimming through solidified air. Armor servos groaned under the strain, warning lights flashing across every system. One soldier fell, armor finally failing, but his squad mates grabbed him, dragging him forward. Inch by inch, step by step, they advanced through pressure that would have crushed vehicles. 20 meters felt like 20 kilometers. O'Brien's suit registered critical damage on multiple systems. But he kept moving. The squad reached the gravitational disruptor and destroyed it with concentrated fire. The field collapsed, and they stumbled forward, damaged but functional. Impossible. General Thorne's voice held. Oh, you just walked through a weapon designed to stop tanks. The armor held. O'Brien gasped. Barely, but it held. Continuing to objective. The breakthrough to the colonists' sanctuary came at terrible cost. O'Brien's armor had taken 47 direct hits, systems failing across the board. Every member of his squad was wounded, suits barely functional, but they reached the sanctuary door and established a defensive perimeter while colonists evacuated. Ravager forces concentrated everything on that position. O'Brien stood in the center, taking fire from 3 directions simultaneously, his armor literally falling apart around him. Ceramic plates shattered, ablative layers burned away, the inner mesh exposed and buckling. He could feel ribs cracking from impacts the armor could no longer fully absorb. Last colonist through, an insectoid soldier reported. Then we move, O'Brien ordered. Fall back to extraction point. The coalition forces rallied around the human breakthrough. What the humans had proven through sacrifice, they all achieved through coordination. Ravager forces, shocked by the stubborn resistance, began to retreat. Haven's Edge was retaken, colonists saved, the battle won. In the medical bay, doctors carefully cut O'Brien's armor off. The suit was destroyed, but it had kept him alive through punishment. That should have killed him dozens of times over. His body was bruised, bones fractured, but he would recover. Dr. Okonkwo examined the armor remains with scientific fascination. This suit took 400% more damage than design specifications suggested possible, she said. The hybrid systems worked better than predicted. The crystalline coating alone reduced heat damage by 37%. General Thorne visited the wounded. Human armor turned the battle, he told O'Brien. Without your squad's breakthrough, we would have failed. The Council has approved immediate full-scale production for all coalition forces. Colonists requested to meet the soldiers who saved them. Children approached the recovering humans with awe, touching the battered armor pieces with reverent curiosity. A young insectoid child asked O'Brien, "Why did you keep fighting when you were hurt?" "Because you needed saving," O'Brien replied simply. "That's what soldiers do." News of Haven's Edge spread across the galaxy. Humanity's reputation transformed again. Not just innovative engineers, but proven warriors. The armor that had been ridiculed for being too heavy was now requested by every coalition military branch. Orders exceeded manufacturing capacity by 300%. Commander Reed stood with General Thorne, watching reconstruction efforts begin on Haven's Edge. "Your species has taught the coalition important lessons," Thorne said. "Durability has value. Sometimes the ability to endure is more important than elegance or efficiency. Humans understood this because Earth taught you harshly. We're just sharing what we learned," Reed replied. "Every species brings something unique. Together, we're stronger than any of us alone." Dr. Okonkwo was already designing the MK8, incorporating lessons from Haven's Edge. The new armor would be lighter, more efficient, but would maintain the core philosophy. Layered redundancy, preparation for the worst, resilience. Above all else, production facilities across coalition space began retooling to manufacture human-designed armor. The suits that had been mocked now represented hope. Captain O'Brien, cleared for duty despite protests from medical staff, began training the coalition's first integrated special forces. Human durability combined with alien capabilities created teams more effective than any single species unit. They ridiculed the armor for being too heavy. Now they requested it because it was strong. Enough.